I deeply dislike bandwagoning politicians, and I want to talk about something that sounds paradoxical but is in fact very real, the concept of the non-crime that is nevertheless policed, the non-crime hate instance, NCHI for short. And it's a bureaucratic invention that sounds like it's been lifted from the pages of 1984, but was in fact born with good intentions. The Conservative Party, now led incapably by Kemi Badenoch, has announced plans to scrap NCHIs as part of a wider push for common sense policing and free speech protection. And the logic, as Badenoch puts it, is that police should be on the streets fighting crime and protecting families, not trawling social media for things that some people might find offensive. It's an arresting image, officers with clipboards on X, previously Twitter, recording whether Mrs. Midgens in Doncaster feels emotionally wounded by a joke about her Yorkshire puddings. Ooh, matron. But beneath the rhetoric lies something more nuanced. Let's be fair, the idea of NCHIs was not malicious. They were introduced in response to the murder of Stephen Lawrence, an act of racist brutality that exposed deep flaws in policing and institutional blindness to hate. The Macpherson report rightly urges forces to take hate seriously before it escalates into violence. Therefore, the NCHI was born as a canary in the mine, an early warning system for community tension. However, as is so often the case in Britain, a well-meaning principle got mangled in execution, and we ended up with police logging playground taunts like a child calling another, saying another child smelled like a fish, as though it were intelligence worthy of MI5. In one notorious case, a 9-year-old was recorded for calling another child a retard, a crude word, yes, but is the long arm of the law really there to correct that child and to record that incident on paperwork that could follow the child through life? Even journalists and vicars have found themselves on fire for merely expressing controversial but lawful opinions. The data, in some cases, appears in enhanced DBS checks. No trial, no conviction, just a recorded shadow and one's civic profile. And the same sort of debate is going on about social media and social media safeguards. It's precisely this overreach that Kemi Badenoch and Chris Philp, the Shadow Home Secretary, want to tackle. And their amendment to the government's Crime and Policing Bill proposes that police may only retain NCHI data if a senior officer believes it's likely to prevent or detect real criminal activity. It's a modest reform, it's not a revolution. And contrary to what some have claimed, it's not the abolition of hate monitoring, nor a dog whistle to reactionaries. It's simply a brake on disproportionate police action. Now, let's inject a note of irony. This is the same Chris Philp who, when policing minister in 2022, defended NCHIs. Labour has seized on this flip-flop with relish. Dame Diana Johnson called the amendment half-baked and accused the Conservatives of hypocrisy after 14 years of inaction. And she has a point. Why only now, with an election in sight, does the issue merit parliamentary time? Labour, meanwhile, wants a review, not a ban. Yvette Cooper says police need to track patterns of anti-Semitism and Islamophobia, even when no crime has been committed, to monitor community risk. It's a reasonable argument, but again, the devil is in the detail. Does that require recording names and retaining personal data? Or could we track incidents anonymously and still identify wider patterns? What both parties agree on is this: the current system is broken. Even the College of Policing, the body that created the NCHI framework, admits it has become an impediment to good policing. Police time, already stretched to its limit, is being spent cataloguing feelings rather than confronting facts. So, here's a philosophical point. Free speech in a democratic society is not the absence of consequences, it's the guarantee that consequences must come from fellow citizens, not from the state, unless a law has been broken. And recording someone's lawful opinion, filing it away like a secret intelligence report and allowing it to affect job prospects or public trust crosses that line. In banning the abuse of NCHIs, not the concept of community monitoring itself, the Conservative plan does something rare. It acknowledges that good policies can go bad if left unattended. And the Conservative plan, I think, is wrong. The Conservatives should challenge NCHIs and make it clear that no NCHI should be recorded on a DBS. NCHIs are the sort of marginalia for police records. They shouldn't be anything that goes beyond the police station. To those who say this will lead to a rise in hate speech, I would say hate must be fought with education, with civic courage and with law, not bureaucratic overreach. So yes, we should record where hate exists, but we shouldn't become a nation where calling somebody smelly gets logged next to burglary on a police database, which is then disseminated and then used to fortify a DBS check. We can and we must do better.